This live presentation was produced in Ashland, Oregon by the Rogue Valley Metaphysical Library and Event Center. RVML relies on the support of our volunteers, members, and donors to organize and present these programs. For more information about this presentation, or to borrow, download, or purchase other recordings from our catalog, please visit our website at rvml.org.
I'm very happy to be here. I bow to you like this in the beginning because, well, I'm your servant. And if I fail in any way to make myself clear as to what it is that I am offering you here tonight, please feel free to consider me a servant and talk to me like that so that I get straightened out, because I am your servant in satsang. It's not the other way around, you know. It really isn't. You know, back in the 20s, I think it was, someone who's, I'm not very good with names or facts or dates, but sometime back in the 20s, what a man who I believe to have been a Hindu religious leader of some renown, and I want to say that his name was Swami Vivekananda. I'm not certain that's the case, but that's what I remember. He came to this country and traveled around this country speaking to people about, well, Vedanta and the whole view of spirit as it has arisen within the Vedantic traditions in India. He was greeted quite warmly, and apparently people really loved him. And one of the things that was asked of him, apparently in those days, there was some considerable concern about the arising of numerous religious sects around the world, within the major religions even. The arising of sects that were against each other, and this one had the truth, and this one didn't have the truth, and this one knew that those two were wrong, and there was, unlike today when we are all at ease with each other, there was considerable turmoil and tumult within the religious community around the world about the emergence of these sects. I guess maybe it was a new thing in those days. And Swami Vivekananda, if indeed that was his name, when asked to comment on this state of affairs, told the questioner that, as far as he was concerned, he praised to God for the day when there is a religious sect for every human being on the planet. Well, we're almost there. To look at the state of spiritual discourse in this country, we're almost there. There are so many of us. There are so many teachings. There are so many teachers. There is so much confusion. There's so much, well, my teacher's better than your teacher. My teacher gives better transmission than your teacher does. This teaching will really take you to where you want to go. This teaching is really the truth. I don't know why those people say you have to make an effort when effortlessness is the key. I don't know why those people say that the world doesn't matter when the world is, well, all there is itself. Come to my side. Come to my side. Listen to me. Abandon your teachers. Come to me. And we, those of us who find ourselves in this really bizarre role of spiritual teacher, you must see that it's really bizarre to be in a role like this. And those of us who find ourselves in this bizarre role dutifully expound in the tradition in which we believe ourselves to be. The truth is that we believe best carries the solution to the problem of human misery. We bemoan the fact that you go to all these other teachers. We think that everybody should go to the same one, and we think that everybody should have the same experience of reality as everybody else. And there's a reason for that, of course. The reason for that is because actually the truth of the matter is that, well, the truth is really simple. It's not hard. It's not complicated. Religions and spiritual teachings, they are hard and complicated. And that's why we love them, because they're so hard and so complicated. That's why we love our thoughts, our ideas, our allegiances, our dramas, because it's all so hard and so complicated. But it's not. The truth is that at the core of every religious teaching, at the core of every religion, no matter how obscured the core may be, no matter how vast is the complication and difficulty that has grown up within a spiritual teaching or a religion, even the major religions, at the core of all of them, what has given rise to every religious and spiritual expression whatsoever is the simplest of insights that has arisen in those among us, God knows why, and have been passed on to us imperfectly, inadequately, ineffectively by those to whom the insights have arisen. But the insight itself is really, really, and those who follow on, those who build the organizations and the canon and the scriptures and the doctrine and so forth. But the essence of what that energizes every religious experience, every religious yearning, every spiritual teaching, no matter how juicy or dry it may be, the essence of it is this one single claim. Actually, there's a couple, but one of them is key. And that claim is that there is not two anywhere to be found. There is not two. The second claim that's at the core of all teachings, the second one, which is really not the second one, is that the cause of all human suffering, confusion, misery, hatred, aggression, betrayal, tragedy, murder, all human insanity whatsoever, the cause of it all is this: a false belief about what I am. They all say that, all of them, without exception. You may, if you start at the top of the manifestation of Christianity, say, you may have to dig pretty deep to get to it, but it's there. The cause of all confusion, all human suffering, all aggression, hatred, murder, rape, theft, whatsoever, is a misunderstanding, a false belief about what I am. I believe myself to be this unfolding story of me, with its history, with its causes, with its expectations, with its rightness and wrongness, with its power and powerlessness. I believe myself to be this story of me. And this story of me may now include the story of one who wants to be enlightened, who wants to be at peace, who wants to be finished with the war. But it's me that wants that. It may even include the story of me who have awakened, self-realized, who are fully conscious. Still the story. Still me, who has a past, who has, if there's any luck at all, a little bit of a future, who has hopes and dreams, who has the memory of when awakening struck, who has the memory of when it departed, to be replaced by regret. No matter what we do so from within this conviction that I am the story of me. Now, the claim is that that's not true. That what I am has nothing whatsoever to do with the chain of thought, memory, expectation, hope, projection, wanting to be good, wanting to be bad, wanting to get rid of. That is the endless characteristic of me, the story of me. I was this, I am that, I want this, I don't want that. I want to be awake, I don't want to be asleep. I want to understand, I don't want to be unconscious. Since this belief is, if it's true what they've told us, since this belief is so endemic to the species, it misses none of us. All of us have this belief that drives what we do, that drives what we want, that drives what we don't want. Every one of us has this belief. Since this belief is so universal and so ubiquitous, it is also absolutely invisible. There's nothing I can do about it. There's no way I can rid myself of this belief. And yet, at the core of all the teachings is precisely the single instruction: rid yourself of the false belief about what you are, and all will be well. Don't concern yourself with all that you're doing or not doing. Don't concern yourself with trying to fix the story. Don't concern yourself with this incessant determination to be right above all. Just rid yourself of this belief, and all will be well. Well, that's a lot of help, right? I mean, the belief I don't even know is here, really. It's like the corneas of my eyes were green colored, so everything I see is filtered through green. But I don't know that. So that's a lot of help, get rid of this belief. And it's led to a lot of mischief, a lot of romance and drama around ego death and around killing off ego, or around, letting go of ego, detaching from ego. Of course, all these things occur, all these ideas and these instructions and these practices occur in and as a part of me, the story of me. Everything I try to do about me is within the story of me, which is precisely what I am told, if there's any truth to what they say, which is precisely what I'm told is the only problem. It's not the story that's the problem, right? Story, no problem at all. It's just a bunch of thought. It's not the story that's the problem. It's my belief that it's me that's the problem. So get rid of it. I tell you right now, get rid of it. Throw it away. Don't worry about fixing it. Don't worry about changing your practices. Don't worry about doing away with this practice and taking on some new practice. Just get rid of it. Yeah, right. Well, here's an idea. How about if we do this? How about if we figure out a new story Okay, I tell you here from my heart that you are not this story that you have believed yourself to be. What you really are is infinite consciousness, Buddha mind, emptiness, the absolute. What you really are is awareness. So get busy now. Figure out what it is to be awareness, infinite consciousness. What does that feel like? How would I act if I were infinite consciousness? How would I think? What should my thoughts be in order that they are in keeping with the new certainty that I am consciousness realized and not at all this limited body-mind? Why, really, I'm God. Get busy. Figure it out. What's that about? How's that feel? How should you think if you're that? What thoughts should be here? What thoughts should not be here? What actions should be here? What actions should not be here for the one who is infinite consciousness, emptiness, Buddha mind? But wait a minute. That's just the same old, same old. That's what I've been doing all along. What I want to be is this, and well, these thoughts don't fit with this. I got to get rid of those. These ideas don't fit with that. I got to get rid of those. I got to think true thoughts, pure thoughts. But how is it any different? Same old war. The sad fact is that most spiritual practice in this world, in this time, consists, and I'm not talking about most spiritual practice, because most spiritual practice is, well, Christianity and Islam and Judaism and high order religions, which don't even concern themselves with these matters. But most spiritual practice outside of the high order religions, sadly, the best they have to offer us is a way, a practice whereby we can change what we believe ourselves to be from what has been unacceptable to what might be acceptable. So I practice meditation in order to quiet the mind, in order that I can see that I am in fact infinite consciousness. And if thoughts arise and blow that theory out of the water, well, I practice some more so that I can feel what it is to be infinite consciousness and emptiness. I have to be very careful about the thoughts that come to me. I have to be very careful about the impulses and the desires that arise within me, about the anger and aggression that may spontaneously arise within this that I now know to be Buddha mind. And practice some more. Get rid of these things. Sad to say, this is what we have mostly been doing forever. Working hard on the story of me so I can become something that is satisfactory. And when it comes to my attention that perhaps I am looking in the wrong direction all along, then finding some new story that I can accept. Some new story that might be more satisfactory because it is more profound. It has words like infinite and consciousness and awakening and enlightenment in it. Sad to say, that's what has come of the most simple, the easiest, the most uncomplicated realization possible. The realization that actually does away with the false belief. You can't do away with a false belief by changing it for some new belief. That's really obvious. The only thing that can possibly eradicate a false idea is the truth. Nothing else is the truth. Not some new description of the truth, but the truth. Since what is presented to us is the idea that the problem underlying all of human insanity is the appearance within each and every one of us of this false belief, clearly the only thing that can eradicate this false belief about what I am then is the truth of what I am. The direct, unmediated, unexplained truth, reality of what I am. It can't come about by somehow changing my personality or my character or my thoughts. That's just, a new chapter in the story. The only thing that can possibly do away with a false belief about my nature is the direct, unmediated, conscious experience of what I am really. Now that's really easy. That's not hard. That does not require lifetimes of spiritual practice. It does not require special dispensations. It does not require some special energy transmission or therapeutic practice, or nor does it require the abandoning of any of those practices. To see, actually, really, in this moment, the naked truth of what I am is as simple as, breathing. Simpler than that. How it got so complicated is a great mystery. How it can be that the simple realization of the Buddha sitting under a tree after having cut loose every spiritual practice that he could find in his lifetime, the simple, direct, personal realization that came upon the Buddha as he's sitting under the Bodhi tree, how that could turn into lifetimes of spiritual practice, endless rebirths, endless, 180,000 prostrations, and things of that nature is a mystery to me. And that's just Buddhism, which in my mind is the sweetest of all, the easiest of all. Here's the deal. You are here. Each and every one of you is here. There is no one, I will bet anything, that there is no one in this room who can honestly stand up and tell me that they believe they do not exist. Many in this room can stand up and tell me that they believe I don't exist. I can tell you that I believe you don't exist. I mean, that's actually kind of elementary spiritual nonsense, right? I mean, you're just in my head. You're a thought that has appeared in my head. You're not here. I mean, I don't know if you're here. You may be, you may not be. How can I tell? But I'm here. There's no doubt about that. Anybody here have the slightest bit of doubt that they are here? I'm here. In fact, the fact that I am here is the only thing in this life that I am certain of. Everything else is subject to doubt. Everything. My story, my history, where I came from, why I am the way I am, where I'm going, whether you are alive, whether you are real, whether I could be locked in an insane asylum somewhere, for all I know, strapped to a bed. But wherever I might be, that I am is certain. However I came to be here, that I am here is certain. And it is the only, absolutely only certainty there is in life, is that you are here. Always. Absolutely. You have never changed. You are here. You are permanent. You are real. The story ain't permanent. The story's always. In fact, it goes away at night. The truth is, it goes away again and again during the day. But I'm here. I haven't moved. Ever. Not for a nanosecond. And that certainty is here. And it's in everybody in this room. This single certainty, the only certainty available to you in this life, the only certainty is that you are. So, how hard can it be to see directly, without explanation, without thought, without a story, how hard can it be to taste yourself? Consciously, in this moment, to see directly for yourself the source of this certainty. Ignoring all that you've ever heard about it. Just this certainty that you're here. How hard can that be? I mean, it's not only not hard, it is your permanent, constant experience. It is the reality in which everything else comes and goes, lives and moves and has its being. You. So, Ramana tells us that the only thing, the thing about Ramana that is so spectacular is that this teaching, this central teaching that is at the heart of all teachings and all religious expression whatsoever, is made overt, uncomplicated, and simply stated by Ramana. He says the only thing standing between you and self-realization is the belief that you are not already realized. The only thing standing between you and the certainty of the freedom and permanence and reality that you are is the false belief that you are what you are not. And he tells us the only cure for this is to know the truth of what you are. And you know that already. So how hard can that be? So this, in my experience, is the self-inquiry of Ramana Maharshi, in my experience. And it goes like this. When it occurs to me, without regard to how long it's been since it last occurred to me, when it occurs to me to stop for just a second and consciously receive the experience of being that is permanent and certainly here, that is me, can't be anything else, I do so. And that's all it takes, my friends. That's it. If you will do this, this is my claim from my experience. If you will do this, whenever it occurs to you, don't abandon your practices. Don't try to hold on to your practices. Don't abandon your teachers. Don't try to hold on to your teachers. Don't abandon your material practices. Don't try to hold on to them. I mean, everything we've tried to do to fix things has not done any good anyway. So don't try to fix anything. Just in the midst of it all, whenever it occurs to you, stop for 1 second, just for 1 second, and consciously taste this water of reality that you are. And everything else will be taken care of. You don't have to worry about how crazy your story is, I promise. You don't have to worry about how wrong you are in whatever way you know yourself to be wrong. How unlikable, how worthless you are. That's okay. You can be that. And you can fight against that. Just when it occurs to you, stop for a second and taste the reality of what you are. And I promise you from my heart that all of that, all of it, will be taken care of. All of it. Over time. So I come around and speak to people about this because the longer I do this, the more astonished I am at how easy it is. The longer I meet with you, speak with you, listen to you, hear from you, see what occurs with you, the longer I am in this strange, bizarre role, the more astonished I am at how easy it is. Really easy. Easy like Sunday morning. You don't have to worry about a thing. You don't have to figure anything out. You don't have to stop figuring anything out. You don't have to desire anything. You don't have to stop desiring anything. All that's required is just whenever it occurs to you, stop for a second and see what you are. See what it is to be here. All the time you spend, instead of that, worrying about the thoughts that come to you, all the time you spend worrying about whether you're doing right or doing wrong, all the time you spend in earnest, compassionate misery over the state of humanity, wishing that there were something to do, all of the time that you spend doing anything whatsoever except meeting the reality of what you are, all that time is okay. Really. All that time is actually irrelevant. The only time that matters is this moment, when you stop for just a second and taste reality. Maybe this is why this teaching is so buried. It's because I have precious little to suggest to you that you do, so that you stick with me and I can lead you into deeper and more advanced practices and so forth. Because this is all there is to it. And this is my experience. This is not theory. I find that when I look at the expressions of spiritual theory, that, my God, that's exactly what they're all saying. But it's not theory. This is my own experience. Don't worry about a thing. Just whenever you can, taste what's real. And what's real is you. There is nothing else that's real but you. Don't worry about, oh, is it ego or is it not ego? Just you. And that's the self-inquiry that I receive from Ramana Maharshi. The thing about what I'm saying that is strange to my ears is the absolute lack of any interest in an agenda with it. Just stop now, just this moment. Don't worry about what you're going to do tomorrow. Just this moment. See with your consciousness what it is to be. See with your consciousness what is it that makes you so certain that you are, when I can't be so certain that you are. What are you really? And don't concern yourself ever with what comes after. There is no final solution. This is what gives rise to all the tales of deepening. And when we start talking about instant awakening, and then, well, yeah, but then there's more, there's deepening and so forth. This is what gives rise to it. There is no final solution. We are actually kind of infantile in our relationship to these things. We hear somewhere, I don't remember where I heard it, but I heard somewhere that there's something that can happen that will instantaneously clear everything up, that will, in a flash, eliminate all of my wrongness, in a flash, eliminate all my confusion, all my limitedness, that there is some final solution, something that I can do or that somebody can do to me that will do away with all of it. And so we go somewhere and that doesn't happen. We go somewhere else and that doesn't happen. This that you have believed yourself to be is the outcome of it's the consequences of the actions of the universe, of the whole of the cosmos. There's nothing to be said about that. The story of you is not your doing. It's not your fault. There's nothing you need to do about it. You are awake. The story is not awake. Never will be. There's nothing whatsoever that can be done to turn the story into enlightenment, into clarity. Nothing. I tell you that in my experience, this repeated turning of attention to what's real and present, like all other actions, has an effect on the story. But over time, you are here now. You are real now. You are permanent. You've never changed. You've never moved. You've never been affected. You have never known sorrow. You have never known self-hatred. And you never will. You have never known war. Never. So, you can, of course, take what I say. Thank God I'm not more eloquent than I am. You can take what I say and turn that into some new thing to believe. I advise you not to do that. Or you can, if you will, right now, in this moment, stop for a second and see what it feels like to be. Just that. And do it again. And do it again. And that's self-inquiry. Nothing else works. Nothing. Nothing we've ever done works. Nothing. You must see that. We keep trying new things and none of them work. We've been killing each other for as long as there's been each others to kill. We've tried politics, religion, spirituality, therapy, fascism, communism, slavery, education, psychology, tried it all in our lives, in the life of the species. We've tried it all. And we're still in this same boat. This works. Find out what you are. All the rest will be taken care of. Okay, that's probably all I have to say. Any questions or arguments or? Yes.
When you say all the rest will be taken care of, can you define what you mean or explain what you mean by taken care of?
If you could change the story, what is your name?
Eli.
Eli. If you could change the story of Eli, would you do so? Are there things about the way Eli is and the way Eli acts and the way Eli thinks and the way Eli experiences things that you would rather were other than they are?
Well, that's an interesting question, but I would like my question answered first, and then I could answer yours.
And your question is, what do I mean?
What do you mean when you say all the rest is taken care of? The story, the pain, all it's taken care of. What does taken care of mean?
Okay, what I mean is, as straightforwardly as I can tell you, that over time the impulse to aggression, to self-hatred, to the hatred of others, the impulse to violence, the impulse to lie, the impulse to be false, over time those things vanish in this practice of self-inquiry. Not in any way that you can assign cause and effect. That's why I say they're taken care of. Not in any way you can say, oh, I see that has happened because of this. But over time, all those things vanish. The life and death love affair with the story vanishes. The deep life and death need relationship with the story vanishes over time.
When you say the life and death relationship, you mean like our attachment to our story?
Yes, but attachment is such a weak word for what I'm speaking of. What we really have, in my experience, and with the experience of most of the people I've spoken to, is a really sick love affair with the story. We love it, we hate it, we want it to go, we want it to change, we want it to be better, we want it to anything. But no, don't let it go. So, yes, the attachment to the story, but in my experience, attachment's a weak word for what our actual relationship is.
Okay. Thank you. Did you want me to answer your question now?
What was my question?
If I wanted my story to change.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. That's part of the love affair with the story.
Yeah, I get that.
You know, the hatred of the story is part of the love affair.
Yeah.
And what I tell you is that so long as you continue to try to take direct action to change the story, you know, by, I don't know, therapy or meditation or whatever practices that, material or spiritual, as long as you continue to do so, that the story will just get worse. That the solution is to know the
That's
truth.
not my experience. My story is getting better.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
I wish you really good luck. Yes. And you know, it's not so much that I may have misspoke myself a little bit when I say the story will get worse. That's my experience with it. And most of the people that I've been with have that experience. You know, there are times when it's good and times when it's bad, but overall it just gets, well, more hopeless, right? If I try this and that and the other thing, and things are a little bit better, but still, I mean, is that all there is? Really? Is that it? I mean, Yeah, I can generate the experience of broken open heart, of oceanic consciousness. I have had the experience of the white hot fire of bliss and nothing else. But I have had the experience of LSD too. I have had the experience of being drunk. And what all of those experiences have in common is that they cannot be relied upon, because here they are now, and the next thing they're gone, leaving me bereft. And is that all there is? That's what I mean about the story getting worse.
Hello.
Hi.
I liked your experiment, the one to check what I can be certain of.
I'm sorry?
I liked your experiment, the experiment where check what can I be certain I exist.
Yes.
And I've done that experiment in the past. But I want to challenge you. I'm equally certain you exist.
Well, I tell you that I don't. I'm just a dream that's appeared in your mind.
You could give me all kinds of evidence of that, and I'm not going to believe it. I'm absolutely as certain that you exist as I am.
That's fine. What is your name?
I'm Alex. That people call me Alex.
I'm sorry?
Alex.
Alex?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Let me clarify something, okay?
Okay.
It's not necessary to what I am offering
Okay.
that you don't believe that I exist,
Okay.
okay? It's not necessary that you believe that the world is an illusion. Absolutely nothing is necessary to what I am offering, except that you see directly the fundamental, absolute certainty of your own existence,
Oh, yeah.
and see that it is of an order that is categorically different from anything else.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay.
Because it is that, its uniqueness is the uniqueness of the certainty of your own existence that makes it possible for you to consciously see what it is to be you, without explaining it, just to feel it.
Yeah.
You see.
Yeah, it's an inexplicable source of knowledge.
Huh?
It's an inexplicable source of knowledge.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
But it's always here.
Yeah.
And the claim of Ramana Maharshi, and I have to say my claim too, is that there is nothing else that needs to be done in life whatsoever to eradicate human suffering other than to be consciously aware of what you are.
Now, the other thing you said that I got caught on is I have this certainty of my existence, but you threw in the word permanent, and I haven't.
Are you not permanent?
I don't know.
Well, have you ever not been here?
As far as I can remember, there's been a time I haven't been here. Yeah. To my knowledge, before 1942, I wasn't here.
Well, they tell me before 1942 I wasn't here too, but I have no experience of that.
That's my, but I have no experience of permanence either.
Right now, in this moment, is it not permanent? Has it changed? Don't you, I mean, you were born in 42, I was born in 42,
Yeah.
right? Don't you ever get kind of surprised when you look in the mirror and see the face of this old geezer?
Yeah.
I mean, really? 'cause
Oh, there's something wrong with my mirror.
that ain't me.
Yeah.
And it is absolutely unnecessary for you to believe the metaphysical proposition that you are permanent.
Well, that's a relief, because
It's
I would
just a
have
clue.
difficulty with that
It's
proposition.
just a clue.
Okay, thank you.
I tell you that there's no metaphysical proposition that I want you to believe. And if you start believing the metaphysical proposition that you're permanent, well, stop it right now. Let me tell you, all I seek to do is by hook or by crook, really. By trick or by, I don't know, joking with you, or by getting angry with you, or by some trickery, get you to taste this reality. and know it to be yourself. Just this once. That's all I want. That's my whole purpose in meeting with you. And to suggest to you, in a way that it may be remembered, that you can do this anytime you want to, no matter how vicious and evil you might be, no matter how confused you might be, that you can do this anytime you want to, and that it feels really good. Because I know from my heart that if you do this whenever you can, that the world will be the paradise that it is. And I know from my heart that nothing else will stop this endless, despicable, boring, inexplicable murderousness that afflicts the human species. Nothing else. Yes. So don't take anything I say that's of a metaphysical or spiritual nature as anything that you should believe. Just see that you're here. Just taste that. Hello.
Hi, thanks for the satsang.
Oh, you're very welcome.
The part that disturbs me about you is that your story is a pretty negative story, and a lot of what you want to give up tends to be in, I see it as negative words. But is it not true that the story we need to give up is even the positive?
I'm sorry, what was that again? My story is very negative. Well,
It
from
is
your
very-
point of view it is, I guess. Okay,
No,
my
but that's
point-
not the question.
Okay.
The question is, do we not then have to give up our positive story also? In other words, everything that we are.
You don't have to give up anything, okay? You will come to see, I promise you will come to see that what you call your positive story is as false as what you call your negative story.
I agree.
It's not that it's bad, it's just that it's not you.
Right, but are you aware, though, that you do use a lot of negative words more than positive words to describe the story that you want to give
No, I
up?
really don't know anything about the skill and art of speaking to people. I really don't. I'm not being...
Well, I think you do pretty well. You have a soft voice. I think it's pretty melodramatic to the point that we need, like, sometime a little motion. I felt like it was a little,
Yeah, I'm
just
a little
kind
emotional.
of meditative and kind of still, and I was going to sleep a little bit.
Oh, I'm quite emotional about it.
Yeah, but due to the fact that you were confined for a long period of time, did that help you to be the person that you are now? Did that have anything to do with
Does
your
what?
awakening?
Does what? Being confined?
The story you have on the yellow pages, did that
That's
help you?
just a story. It has nothing to do with it.
But due to the fact that you were in a confinement, like Nelson Mandela and other people that have sat under a Bodhi
Was it
tree,
useful
did
to
that
you?
help you?
I feel that it was very helpful to me, but I
Yeah.
don't, I mean, I feel that I am the luckiest of human beings, okay, first of all. And I feel that part of that luck has to do with the fact that my story was just the way it was. But I also see that the same is true for you. There's nothing in particular about my story that is any different from anybody else's story. As it happened, it was the greatest good luck that I was locked up for 18 and a half years, as it happened. It was the greatest good luck that I was locked up for another 3.5 years after meeting Gangaji. That was really good luck, really. But that's just because it's my story, and it's the way my story played out.
But in your story, somewhere you developed awakening from your story. How did that happen?
Okay, I'll tell you how. You want to know how? You wanna know
Sure,
the
that's
story
why
of it?
we're here.
Okay.
I'm here for that reason.
In 1994, when I had been in prison, and you must know, I don't know what it says on that paper, but what got me in prison was pretty dramatic stuff. It was a series of armed bank robberies, gunfights, bombings, armed escapes, and time on the 10 most wanted list. That ended me up in prison for 18 and a half years. 15 years after I went to prison in 1994, Gangaji came to prison. Do you know Gangaji? And the second time that she came to the prison I was in, I went to see her. I went to meet her. And I'm not going to go into the story that surrounds that because I want to go on from there. I will tell you that for reasons that are absolutely inexplicable to me, that make no sense to me and probably not to her either, in the moment that I met her, everything stopped. Everything. There was no story, there was nothing. There was nothing. And that persisted for quite a long time compared to the similar experiences I've heard from other people. In the aftermath of meeting Gangaji for that first time, I spent a year immersed in suffering and paradisical suffering. You know, it really is true what they tell us, that paradise is that the suffering that denotes human existence is very much present even when you have everything you want. Because, well, you know you're going to lose it. That's a basic bottom line for it. That first year, I was in a paradise of misery and suffering. I had Gangaji's constant attention. I was, by my own lights, her pet. I wrote to her almost every day. She wrote back to me almost as often. I was so much in love with this woman that I couldn't see straight. There was nothing whatsoever. I knew that Gangaji was the cause of this, you see. And I did some investigation into spiritual teachings and so forth in order to get some understanding of what had happened to me, because I had changed radically. The people around me were quite surprised at my transformation. But I knew that it was Gangaji that did it to me, and I knew that, well, I was in love with this woman. There was nothing I wouldn't do to keep her attention at the same level that it had been bestowed upon me for all the beginning of my time with her. And for a year, I wrote to her truly about the experiences that came to me, which include the white hot fire of bliss that I spoke about, and included hearing the stones and the walls of the prison sing silently, and all kinds of things. Telling her these things, determined that she would stay in love with me as I was in love with her, that she would continue to see me as this God knows what, previously unsuspected Buddha found in a federal prison somewhere. Well, after about a year, right, I kind of ran dry. All the experiences, yeah, they'd come and they'd go and they'd come and they'd go. But still, the thoughts were here, the desires were here, the determination to have her attention was here, the fear that I would lose it was here, still. And I managed to involve myself in a situation that as we all, I think we're all familiar with the self-defeating things that we do as these human beings. And I managed to get myself involved in a situation that really, really pissed her off. Really made her mad. And just as I suspected, boy, when her face turned from me, it was hell. It was the grave. It was horrible. And there was nothing I could do to re-seduce her. Yeah, she's a hard woman, I'll tell you that. Finally, about 2 years into my meeting with Gangaji, finally it occurred to me, well, to get real, to stop all this nonsense. I had heard, of course, of Ramana Maharshi. I mean, I would never have heard of him if it weren't for Gangaji, but I had heard of him. And when I heard of him, I had received that pamphlet, Who Am I? And I glanced at it, and I tossed it aside because, well, I already knew who I am, right? I am infinite consciousness. I am emptiness and eternal awareness. I am permanent. So of what use to me is this really kind of simple stuff, right? Who am I? Right, okay. But finally, in the aftermath of my ignorance and my flailing about, finally I decided, well, let's go back to Ramana and see what Ramana really had to say. And I carried Talks. I don't know if you're familiar with the book, Talks? It's a big book of transcriptions of Ramana's conversations with devotees that came to him when he was at the ashram. And I read him all the time, and I read him, and I read him. And I saw how, well, different he is than most teachers. Different, but still, some things about him didn't seem quite right. But as I read him and read him and read him, I saw that just like anybody else, not just like anybody else, but just like me, Ramana stumbled upon reality as a 16-year-old boy, really unequipped to make sense of it, really unequipped to fit it into a developed metaphysical, spiritual understanding of what had happened. He went silent for 12 years. And during that 12 years, learned more about the tradition in which he appeared and what all that had to say about what had happened to him. After 12 years, he started speaking, and the first thing he had to say was the pamphlet, Who Am I? And as he spoke to people over I forget how many years, he died, I think, in 53, but 50 or 60 years that he was speaking to people. As he spoke to people, he said a lot of really strange things to me with my Western background, but one thing he never deviated from, never. One thing that was very clear to Ramana, and that he never hesitated to tell us, is first find out who you are. He was perfectly happy to advise people on a wide variety of practices, pranayama, and certain meditation and mantra practices and so forth. But throughout it all, there was only one thing that really interested Ramana, and that's who are you, really. All the rest of it was, well, okay. But always he came back to this, who are you? And I tell you that he also tells us there are two streams that Ramana follows. They are both the same, as he often said. One stream is the stream that I have spoken about tonight, which is the simplicity with which you can just taste directly, without any spiritual understanding, without any spiritual background. This can happen if I go down to a fast food store and find somebody that's willing to listen to me. That person in the fast food store who never heard of any spiritual stuff is just as capable of tasting the reality of what he is as you and I are. That's the first stream. The other stream is this. At the heart of all of Ramana's teaching is the insistence that the only solution is to know the truth. The rest of it doesn't matter. And the only thing you can know the truth about is what you are. The rest of it doesn't matter. And the only cause of all your misery is the false belief about what you are. These things Ramana never deviated from. So he offered us two paths, two streams. One is what I said, and it's the easiest. And it is just this. Stop right now, in this moment. Just right now. And see what it feels like to be here. Just that. And stay there as long as you can. And go back there every time you get a chance. And everything will be taken care of, by which I mean the false belief will vanish over time. That's the stream that brings you in direct communication and communion with the reality of what you are. The other stream is to discover the truth of what you are not. And this is where Ramana really stunned me. And, well, he just really stunned me. Because whereas everything else I had read about this spiritual business told me ego is the problem, Ramana told me, find ego. Don't worry about all the fancy and precious distinctions about whether ego is or is not, whether who's looking for it and all that stuff. Just find whatever it is within you that feels like the core of misery. Just find it. Don't worry about any preciousness about it. Find what feels like the wanting, the lostness, the neediness. Find that core and get a hold of it with your consciousness and see what it is. Just see what it is. Stay there. Ramana holds that ego is the doorway to eternity, not the problem. It's the belief that I am ego that's the problem, not ego. So Ramana, the two things that Ramana encouraged people to do. One is what we've talked about tonight, and the other is to find ego. And Ramana, this great saint who obviously wouldn't kill a fly, advises us to get a hold of ego and hold it by the throat. Hold it by the throat. He's telling us to get rid of what everybody knows is inexistent. To hold by the throat what everybody knows is inexistent. What anybody with any advanced spiritual understanding would know, it's only ego that's doing that anyway. But Ramana tells us that doesn't matter. You find what it is that feels to be the problem and stay with it. Just that. Well, I had already been contaminated by my advanced spiritual understanding, so I had a real hard time with that. And I finally decided that the way that I would practice the self-inquiry that consists in looking at ego would be this. I would get a hold of ego, I would get it by the throat, and I would strangle it to death. I would make it go away. That's what I thought. It's not my concern that you feel good about what I say. Really. You know, I at some point in my life, out of the desperate need to be good, the desperate need to be righteous, not only that, I saw very clearly that what had to happen in the world was the destruction of capitalism, and that it had to happen by force of arms. And I really saw that very clearly. There was no doubt in my mind about that. And that it didn't matter who got hurt, who died, who suffered as a result of this, because in the long run, it was the only thing that could possibly bring an end to the misery in the world. So I got busy doing that. That's what got me in prison in the first place, this self-righteous need to be righteous. And I see now how stupid all our ideas of what needs to be done to the world, and how counterproductive, how nothing we do to try to make things better helps in the least. It just makes it worse. More blood, more poverty, more suffering, more self-betrayal.
You're getting negative again.
Yeah, well, let me tell you something, friend. My friend.
I'm sorry, I just think it's funny.
If I tell a story about the world, the story about the world is a negative story. I tell you, however, also that there is hope. That's the positive story. But it's not hope in anything you have ever placed hope in before. It's not hope in good feelings. It's not hope in positivity as opposed to negativity. It is not. It's not feeling good. It's not feeling bad. It is knowing the truth. Nothing else will work. So, if that's negative, oh well. But I think it's more positive, yes. Okay?
She just told me not to speak anymore. So I'm sorry if I offended you.
It's maybe in line with what's going on right now, but I've noticed for myself a lot of times over the years when the truth bubbles up, there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of what seems to be a threat. And I went to go stay with a friend up in Portland who invited me to what amounted to a live-in satsang. And he told me, laughing about it, you stick around me, you're screwed. And then he starts laughing and laughing and laughing. And some nervous laughter came up, and then I started just bubbling over, and there was nothing left. And I just noticed for myself, and this is more of a report, no real questions, that what comes from here speaks for itself. And there's lots of games that can be played around it, but thank you. And
Well, you're very welcome.
yeah. That's all.
Yeah. You know, and really, it's okay with me if you hate me. If only you'll look at yourself. Really. I don't care about anything, but that you look at yourself. Hi.
Hi, I really want to thank you for being here tonight. You brought me big gifts. I have been listening to Gangaji for a long time and have been in distress because I will be in two places. I will be in that peaceful place where I know who I am and nothing matters. Nothing can upset me or make me happy or otherwise. But then I feel I have two identities. There's this place of permanence that is always fine with what is. But there's also another part of me that needs to live in this world that you described that has all these positive and negative things going on all the time. And what I always had a hard time with, and I never asked Gangaji, I would walk out of the satsangs feeling very peaceful and more in depth with myself, and the story disappeared. But then as soon as I stepped out of the door, there was the world.
Here it comes back.
There it was the world, and I always got frustrated, and I felt it didn't work for me, and I gave up to listen to her because it just didn't give me a path. So I'm here again tonight because I hope that you would say something that would give me an insight, and you did. You said it in a completely different way. I've never heard it before. To taste myself. That was such a sweet way of finding the path even deeper to that place of just being. But if you would have a few words for me to help me with that transition of how I can be in those both worlds and just be.
Where you are, you have nothing to say about. The fact that you appear in this form, in the circumstances that you appear in, you have nothing to say about. What you have something to say about, not always. This is the key to really keep clear on. Not always. The truth is that when we are really immersed in some immediate drama, whether it's the drama of me against me or me against the world or whatever, when we find ourselves really immersed in that, we don't find ourselves at all. And we have nothing whatever to say about the fact that we are lost in thought. That just happens. But it doesn't happen all the time. There are times when that is not the case. And it's those times that are when the precious opportunity is here to, just for a second, without expecting anything, just consciously taste what it feels like to be here. Just that. All of the time that you spend lost in thought is of no consequence. There's no need for you to be concerned about that at all. The only time that's of any consequence is the moment when it occurs to you that it's possible for you to taste directly the reality of what you are. Just do that. And you will see that over time, here's the truth of it. This is what you've always wanted. This is what everyone has always wanted. What we look for in trying to make ourselves into satisfactory beings, what we look for in seeking after spiritual experience, what we look for in seeking after material well-being and welfare, is really to be found in the experience of being only. So when you do this, when you consciously taste without any expectation that everything's going to be okay now, when you do this, what you're tasting is what you've always wanted. And that being the case, I promise you, you'll come back to it often, more and more often. That's all you have to do. Don't concern yourself with all the things that go on in your mind. Don't concern yourself. Do the best you can in the world. Take care of your friends, your family, whatever. Take care of yourself. Do what you can to be good instead of bad. All that's fine. Don't concern yourself with the outcome of those efforts. Just whenever it's possible for you to do so, taste yourself. And you can do that. Just that. And that'll take care of everything.
Thank you.
You see?
Thank you.
Okay? That's what really, when I talk about everything will be taken care of, really what I am trying to convey to you is that you can't take care of anything. I mean, do the best you can. But your experience ought to tell you that everything I have wanted to do, I have done wrong. Everything I have not wanted to do, I have done anyway. So do the best you can, but in the midst of all of it, whenever you can, taste what you really are. Just that. Not for a high, not to get blissful. Just to know the truth. I tell you, there's nothing else you want but to know the truth. And when you taste this, it will become very apparent to you that this taste is what you have always wanted. This is the water that you have been looking for all of your life. And then it will be absolutely unnecessary to concoct any spiritual justification or understanding or rationalization for going there. It will become absolutely unnecessary to concoct any rationalization for how you're going to be a better person for going there. This is what you wanted. This is where the water is, people. Here. Here. As you. Yes. So what I am offering to you and what I am suggesting to you is that what you want is not enlightenment or self-realization or awakening. Those are all kind of code words. What you want is you. That's what you want. What you want is this water of reality that you are. So, this is not a means to an end. I tell you that the story will be better, but that's not the reason for doing it. Keep working on the story if you need to. This is not a means to an end. This is what you wanted. This is the water. Hi.
Thank you. I just wanted you to follow up. You started to talk, I think it was the teachings of Ramadan, and you said to find the core of your suffering or the wanting. And maybe I just missed what you said, or I think maybe you were interrupted and I just wanted you to follow up what to do.
What came of that?
Yeah, what became of that?
Well, I would sit on my bed, and this is an advantage I had because I was in prison. I actually wasn't allowed to work, and I had it pretty easy toward the end of my time. So I would sit on my bunk, which, since I didn't have any responsibilities, I could do that whenever I wanted to. And I would sit there and I would find something. And I got more sophisticated as time went on. I would find some inner experience that was certainly the core of neediness and wanting and not getting. And I would hold my attention with laser-like ferocity on this entity that I knew was ego. And I would chant to it, die. Die. See, this came from my advanced spiritual understanding, which I wasn't paying any attention to what Ramana said. I'd say, die. And I would do this literally for hours on end. I mean, really, I'm not exaggerating. Die. Die. I knew that really what had to happen was that ego had to die. I could not hear Ramana telling me that all that had to happen was that I know the truth. Die. Die. Days, weeks, months, every chance I got, sitting there, holding on to whatever ephemeral passing emotional experience I could get a hold of and assign the role of a villain. And then I was sitting there one day telling this thing to die, and it suddenly dawned on me, beyond any possibility of confusion, that this thing ain't never going to die. And I laughed.
And you what?
And I laughed.
You laughed. Yeah. Okay.
So that was the outcome of my ego investigation.
Okay. Thank you very much.
That's for the investigation. Come on. The investigation of the nature of ego is for the hardcore. And I suspect that its main function is to reveal to us the fact that, well, we're stuck with it.
Hello. I got here a little late. I'm not too familiar with the sort of discourse that you
It's
do.
okay, I don't have much to say.
Well, but so you went from being a violent revolutionary to sitting around talking to rich people about their egos. So what's in between? Like, can we still arrive at some kind of practical, like, I mean, capitalism is still a problem. I think it is anyway.
Is what?
A problem.
What's a problem?
Capitalism.
Oh, capitalism is an enormous problem.
Yeah. So
it's obvious.
So how about some
It
practical
doesn't take-
thoughts about
it? It doesn't take a mental giant to see that capitalism is.
Well, yeah, but armed robbery as a response. Yeah, well.
Yes. This is what I mean when I say, I don't care about your practices. Right? I don't care about your social practices, your sexual practices, your spiritual practices, your therapeutic practices, your political practices, they're all okay. All of them. So please try to do something about capitalism. But all I am suggesting to you is that if you want to know the truth about what you are, which I claim you do, stop and look. Not to get rid of your desire to eliminate capitalism, but just to know the truth. And you're here. Are you not? Mm-hmm. You are here. Mm-hmm. How do you know that?
I'm the center of my own sensation.
Well, go to the center of your own sensation. You see, when I say, how do you know that, I can also come up with some explanation for how I know that, that's physiological or spiritual or whatever. But the reality of how you know you are here is here. Needs no explanation, needs no understanding even. The reality of how you know you are here is here. So consciously feel it, taste it, just for a second. And what I tell you will happen, if you do this as often as you can, is the false belief that you are the story of you will disappear. The story won't, but the belief that it's you will. And the outcome of that is, since what you are, I tell you, don't believe this, because I'm a notorious liar, but since what you are is freedom, peace, absolute love without condition. When you know that, how can it not change the world? Then the story continues, and please do try to do away with capitalism. I'd really like to see it go into the dustbin of history where it belongs. But when you do that, and you know the truth of what you are, I guarantee you won't kill anybody. You won't harm anybody. I guarantee that. You won't make things worse. Guarantee that. And you won't be looking for what you are outside of yourself. You won't be looking for peace and freedom in the circumstance in which you find yourself. And how can the world not rejoice at that? Yes, capitalism sucks. Hallelujah. Well, it's a tough bunch. I like you guys. Yes. It's so difficult to hear, I think, that it's okay whatever you're doing. I think that's difficult to hear. It's okay, keep on keeping on. Really. The truth is, you can't hurt anybody. That's the truth. You can only hurt yourself. You can only be miserable and suffering in yourself. That's the truth. So, all that you're doing is fine. You can't do any damage. Just please, find out what you are. Really, just find out what you are here in this moment. Not once and for all, just here in this moment. Find out what you are. Hi.
I heard you talking about how once you taste yourself, that's all you want. And just want more and more. And that was my experience until I realized that all I wanted was to know myself.
Yes.
And that frightened me,
Yes.
actually, because then my mind started thinking, how do I survive in the world if
Yes.
I'm always in here?
Yes.
And there's a point where I made a conscious choice or shift where I started running away from that, which was
Yes.
so great.
Yes.
And I find now I'm kind of in a wrestling match almost, wanting
Yes.
and seeing myself running and knowing that I'm running from that which I want, and yet it's a bit
That's
of...
crazy.
Yeah.
That's really crazy. but you see, here's the thing. What's your name?
Julia.
Julia. Here's the thing. That practice, the practice of running from what you really want, this is such a great gift to you that in this lifetime you have seen directly for yourself that what you want is to know the truth. Now the practice of running from the truth, which you know to be here, always here, the practice of running from the truth can't hurt you. You're not running all the time. There will be a moment, this moment, when it's possible for you to just taste this reality. Just that. Without any expectation that the story won't continue of running from the truth. But here you are now. Who cares what's going to happen then? You see? And that's all that's asked of you. We always make such a big drama about this thing. You know, I remember when I was a kid, and I was a bad kid. I was a really bad kid. And my parents, what they wanted me to do was to turn over a new leaf. In other words, they wanted me to become not this bad kid, but this good kid. Just like that. Okay, now I'm a bad kid, now I'm going to be a good kid. And we do the same thing in this spiritual arena. We know what we want. And we know that it's crazy to run from what we want. But until I can make myself into the one who doesn't run from what I want, I'm sunk. But that's a lie, because here you are. You can run 5 minutes from now, but here you are. You see?
Yes.
Okay?
Thank you.
Is that helpful?
It is helpful, and the thought started like almost immediately.
But that's okay. That's okay. I tell you this. None of the time that you spend caught up in the thoughts and the story of running from reality is of any consequence at all. You do not have to worry about that at all. The only time it's of any consequence is this moment, when you taste this reality.
I think I realized that because I remember also, that feeling of, unless I had tasted this each morning, each day, and was living it, then every moment was a waste of life.
Yeah, right.
And so
Right.
it's actually more now the fear of the wasting of the life and the knowing that thoughts or experiences or decisions made in that.
You can't waste your life. Here you are. You are here.
That's true.
Okay?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. No, you're so beautiful. Okay, I think we're done. And what a great, wild, rough group you guys are. See, this is what I feed on, right? I mean, sometimes I do go to places and everybody's just all about, oh yeah, right, oh, it feels so good. And that's okay. But this is what I feed on, this you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you from my bottom of my heart for this satsang. Just drink the water. Whenever you can, drink the water. Om Shanti. May all being know itself.
RVML Resource Center is a volunteer-operated federal 501c3 tax-exempt nonprofit organization. RVML is dedicated to providing easy access to a comprehensive collection of information on a variety of metaphysical, spiritual, and personal development subjects. RVML accepts and appreciates all donations. Material and monetary contributions are fully tax-deductible. This recording is not copyrighted, and permission is granted to broadcast, exhibit, or duplicate all or part of this program for non-commercial educational purposes. This live presentation was organized and presented by the Rogue Valley Metaphysical Library and Event Center. For more information, please visit rvml.org.